Vaisampayana said. Then those valiant descendants of Kuru, who belonged to the same path, having joyfully celebrated the nuptials of Abhimanyu and hasted themselves that night, presented themselves at dawn, well pleased in the court of Virata, and the chamber of the king of the Matsya was full of riches and variegated with choice gems and precious stones, with seats methodically arranged, adorned with garlands and filled with fragrance. And those mighty monarchs of men all came to that place, and on the seats in front sat the two, King Virata and Drupada, and they have varied and aged rulers of the earth, and Valahama and Krishna, along with their father, all sat there, and close to the king of Panchala was seated the great hero of the case of Sini, together with the son of Hohini, and side by side with the king of the Matsya sat Krishna and Yudhishthira, and all the sons of King Drupada, and Bhishma and Arjuna, and the two sons of Madri, and Pradyumna, and Samba, both valiant in battle, and Abhimanyu with Virata's sons. And those princes, the sons of Draupadi, rivaling their fathers in valor, strength, grace, and prowess, sat upon excellent seats inlaid with gold. And when those mighty heroes, wearing shining ornaments and robes, had set themselves down, that gorgeous assembly of kings looked beautiful like the firmament spangled with resplendent stars. And those valiant men assembled together, having conversed with one another upon various topics, remained for some time in a pensive mode, with their eyes fixed upon Krishna. And at the end of their talk, Krishna drew their attention to the affairs of the Pandavas, and those powerful kings together listened to Krishna's speech, pregnant and lofty. And Krishna said, "It is known to you all how this Yudhishthira was deceitfully defeated at dice by the son of Suvala, and how he was robbed of his kingdom, and how a stipulation was made by him concerning his exile in the forest, and capable as they were of conquering the earth by force, the sons of Pandu remained firm in their plighted faith. And accordingly for 6 and 7 years, these incomparable men accomplished the cruel task imposed upon them. And this last, the 13th year, was exceedingly hard for them to pass. Yet unrecognized by anyone, they have passed it, as known to you, suffering unendurable hardships of various kinds. This is known to you all. These illustrious men have spent the 13th year employed in many service of others. This being so, it is for you to consider what will be for the good of both Yudhishthira and Duryodhana, and what, as regards the Kurus and the Pandavas, will be consistent with the rules of righteousness and propriety, and what will meet with the approbation of all. The virtuous King Yudhishthira would not unrighteously covet even the celestial kingdom. Righteously he would accept the rule even of a single village. How the sons of Dhritarashtra fraudulently robbed him of his paternal kingdom, and how he hath passed a life of unendurable hardships, are known to all the kings assembled here. The sons of Dhritarashtra are incapable of overcoming by strength Arjuna, the son of Pritha. Nevertheless, King Yudhishthira and his friends have no other desire than the good of Dhritarashtra's son. These brave sons of Kunti and the two sons of Madri ask for only what they themselves, achieving victory in battle, had won from the defeated kings. You, no doubt, know full well how those enemies of the Pandavas, with the object of possessing themselves of the kingdom, endeavored by various means to destroy them, when they were yet mere boys. So wicked and rancorous they were. Consider how grasping they are and how virtuous Yudhishthira is. Consider also the relationship that exists between them. I beseech you all to consult together and also think separately. The Pandavas have always had a regard for truth. They have fulfilled their promise to the very letter. If now treated wrongful by the sons of Dhritarashtra, they won't slay them out all, banded together. They have friends who, on being informed of their unworthy treatment at the hands of others, won't stand by them, engaged in fight with their persecutors, and willingly slay them even if they should lose their own lives for it. If you suppose them to be too few to be capable of winning a victory over their enemies, you must know that, united together and followed by their friends, they won't, no doubt, try their utmost to destroy those enemies. What Duryodhana thinks is not exactly known, nor what he may do. When the mind of the other side is not known, what opinion can be formed by you as to what is best to be done? Therefore, let a person virtuous and honest, and of respectable birth, and wary, and able ambassador, set out to beseech them mildly, for inducing them to give half the kingdom to Yudhishthira. Having listened to the speech of Krishna, marked by prudence and a regard for virtue, and showing a pacific and impartial spirit, his elder brother then addressed the assembly, bestowing high encomiums on the woes of the younger brother. Valadeva said, "You have all listened to the speech of him who is the elder brother of Gada, characterized as it is by a sense of virtue and prudence, and salutary alike to Yudhishthira and King Duryodhana. These valiant sons of Kunti are ready to give up half their kingdom, and they make this sacrifice for the sake of Duryodhana. The sons of Dhritarashtra, therefore, should give up half of the kingdom, and should rejoice and be exceedingly happy with us that the quarrel can be so satisfactorily settled. These mighty persons, having obtained the kingdom, won't, no doubt, be pacified and happy, provided the opposite part behave well. For them to be pacified will redound to the welfare of men, and I should be well pleased if somebody from here, with the view of pacifying both the Kurus and the Pandavas, should undertake a journey and ascertain what is the mind of Duryodhana, and explain the views of Yudhishthira. Let him respectful salute Bhishma, the heroic son of Kuru race, and the magnanimous son of Vichitravirya, and Drona, along with his son, and Vidura, and Kripa, and the king of Gandhara, along with the Sutta son. Let him pay his respects to all the other sons of Dhritarashtra, to all who are renowned for strength and learning, devoted to their proper duties, heroic and conversant with signs of the times. When all these persons are gathered together, and when the elderly citizens are assembled, let him speak words full of humility and likely to serve the interests of Yudhishthira. At all events, let them not be provoked, for they have taken possession of the kingdom with a strong hand. When Yudhishthira had his throne, he forgot himself by being engaged in gambling, and was disposed by them of his kingdom. This valiant Kuru, this descendant of Ajamida, Yudhishthira, Thog not skilled in dice, and Thog, dissuaded by all his friends, challenged the son of the king of Gandhara, an adept at dice, to the match. There were then at that place thousands of dice players, whom Yudhishthira could defeat in a match. Taking, however, no notice of any of them, he challenged Suvala son of our men to the game, and so he lost. And our talk, the dice constantly went against him. He would still have Sakuni alone for his opponent. Competing with Sakuni in the play, he sustained a crushing defeat. For this, no blame can attach to Sakuni. Let the messenger make use of words characterized by humility, words intended to conciliate Varias son. The messenger may thus bring round the Dhritarashtra son to his own views. Do not seek war with the Kurus. Address Duryodhana in a conciliatory tone. The object may possibly fail to be gained by war. It may be gained by conciliation, and by these means it may be gained enduringly. While that valiant scion of Madhu Hayes was even continuing his speech, the gallant son of the Hayes of Sini suddenly rose up and indignantly condemned the words of the former by these words of his. Satyaki said, "Even as a man heart is, so doth he speak. Thou art speaking in strict conformity with the nature of thy heart. There are brave men, and likewise those that are cowards. Men may be divided into these two well-defined classes. As upon a single large tree there may be two bogs, one of which beareth fruits, while the other doth not. So from the self-same line of progenitors may spring persons that are imbecile, as well as those that are endowed with great strength. Thou bearing the sign of a plague on thy banner, I do not, in sooth, condemn the words thou hast spoken. I simply condemn those who are listening to thy words. How can he who unblushingly dares attach even the slightest blame in the virtuous King Yudhishthira be permitted to speak at all in the midst of the assembly? Persons clever in the game of dice challenged the magnanimous Yudhishthira, unskilled as he is in play, and confiding in them he was defeated. Can such persons be said to have virtuously won the game? If they had come to Yudhishthira while playing in this house with his brothers and defeated him there, then what they would have won would have been righteously won. They challenged Yudhishthira, who was bound in conscience to follow the rules observed by the military caste, and they won by a trick. What is there in this conduct of theirs that is righteous? And how can this Yudhishthira here, having performed to the utmost the stipulations entered into by way of stakes in the play, freed from the promise of a sojourn in the forest, and therefore entitled to his ancestral throne, humble himself? Even if Yudhishthira coveted other people's possessions, still it would not behove him to beg. How can they be said to be righteous and not intent on usurping the throne, when, although the Pandavas have lived out their sojourn of concealment unrecognized, they still say that the latter had been recognized? They were besought by Bhisma and the magnanimous Drona. They would not yet consent to give back to the Pandavas the throne that belongeth to them by right of birth. The means with which I would besiege them would be sharp arrows. I shall fight and with a strong hand force them to prostrate themselves at the feet of the illustrious son of Kunti. If, however, they do not bow at the feet of the wise Yudhishthira, then they and their partisans must go to the regions of Yama. When Yudhishthira is engaged and resolved to fight, they, to be sure, are unequal to withstand his impetus, as mountains are unable to resist that of the thunderbolt. Who can withstand Arjuna in fight, or him who hath the discus for his weapon in battle, or myself as well? who can withstand the unapproachable vitimas, and who, having regard for his life, would come near the twin brothers who firmly grasp their bows and assemble the death-dealing Yama intelligence, who would approach the Ristadiumna, the son of Drupada, or these 5 sons of the Pandavas who have adhered lustre to the Draupadi name, rivaling their fathers in valor, equal to them in every aspect and full of martial pride, or him of the powerful bow, Subhadra son, irresistibly by even the gods themselves, or Gada, or Pradyumna, or Samba, assembling Yama, or the thunderbolt, or fire. We shall slay Dhritarashtra son and Sakuni, and Karna immediately, and place the Pandava on the throne. There is no sin in slaying them that are bent on slaying us. But to be a beggar before foes is both impious and infamous. I ask you to be diligent in doing that which is heartily desired by Yudhishthira. Let Pandu's son get back the kingdom resigned by Dhritarashtra. Either Yudhishthira should get back his kingdom this very day, or our enemies shall lie down on the earth, slain by me. Drupada said, It will, without doubt, but even as thou hast said. Never will Duryodhana give up the kingdom by peaceful means, and Dhritarashtra, who dotes on his son, will follow him in his wish. And so will Bhishma and Drona from imbecility, and Karna and Sakuni from folly. The wolves of Valadeva command themselves to my judgment. The course pointed out by him should be followed by men who desires peaceful settlement. Duryodhana should never be addressed in mild words. Vicious by nature, he, I believe, cannot be brought to reason by mildness. In respect of an ass, mildness is in place. In respect of animals of the bovine species, severity should be resorted to. If anyone were to speak mild words to Duryodhana, vicious by nature, that wicked would consider the speaker to be an imbecile person. If a mild course is adopted towards him, the fool will think that he has won. Let us do even this. Let us make preparations. Let us send word to our friends that they may collect an arm for us. Let speed messengers go to Salia, and Dhristaketu, and Jayatisena, and the prince of the Kekayas. Duryodhana also, on his part, will send word to all the kings. Right-minded persons, however, respond to the request of those that first besiege them. Therefore, I ask you to make haste in first preparing your suite to these rulers of men. Meseems that a great undertaking is awaiting us. Quickly send word to Salia, and to the kings under him, and to King Vihagadatta of immeasurably valor, residing on the eastern sea coast, and to fierce Hardikiya, and Ahuka, and the king of the Malas, of powerful understanding, and Hamana. Let Vrihanta be summoned, and King Senavindu, and Valika, and Mudijakesa, and the ruler of the heads, and Suparsva, Suvahu, and that great hero Paurava, and also the kings of the Sakas, the Palavas, and the Daradas, and Surari, and Najija, and King Karnavesti, and Nila, and the valiant King Viradiharman, and Durjaya, and Dantavakra, and Hukimi, and Janamejaya, and Azhada, and Vayuvega, and King Purvapali, and Bihuri Tejas, and Devaka, and Ekalaya with his sons, and also the kings of the Krausha race, and the valiant Kishe and the kings of the Cambodia and the Hika tribes, and of the western Sea coast, and Jayatsena, and the king of the Kazhi, and the rulers of the land of the 5 rivers, and the proud son of Kratiha, and the rulers of the mountain regions, and Janaki, and Susarman, and Maniman, and Potimatisiaka, and the valiant Dihiristaketu, and the ruler of the kingdom of Pansu, and Paundra, and Dandadihara, and the brave Vrihatsena, and Aparajita, and Nishada, and Sirilimat, and Vasumat, and Vrihadivala, of great strength, and Vahu, the conqueror of hostile cities, and the warlike King Samudrasena with his son, and Udihava, and Kishemaka, and King Vatadihana, and Srutayus, and Diridihayus, and the gallant son of Salva, and the king of the Kalingas, and Kumara, unconquerably impatedly, speedily sent word to these. This is what recommends itself to me, and let this my priest, a learned Brahmana, be sent to Dhritarashtra. Tell him the words he is to say, and what Duryodhana should be told, and how Bhishma is to be addressed, and how Drona, that best of cow warriors. Krishna said, "These words are worthy of the chief of the Somaka tribe, and are calculated to promote the interests of Pandu's son of immeasurably strength, as we are desirous of adopting a polite course. Disease, no doubt, or first duty. A man acting otherwise would be a great fool. Our relationship to both the Kurus and the Pandus is equal. Howsoever these two parties may behave with each other, both you and we have been invited here on the occasion of a marriage. The marriage having now been celebrated, let us go home well pleased. We are the foremost of kings, both in years and learning, and here we are, no doubt, are as if your pupils. Dhritarashtra has always entertained a great respect for you, and you are also a friend of the preceptors Drona and Kripa. I therefore ask you to send a message in the interests of the Pandavas. We are resolved even upon this, that you should send a message unto them. If that chief of the Kuru race should make peace on equitable terms, then the brotherly feelings between the Kurus and the Pandus will sustain no injury. If, on the other hand, the son of Dhritarashtra should wax haughty and from folly refuse to make peace, then, having summoned others, summon us too. The holder of Gandiva then will be fired with wrath, and the dull-headed and wicked Duryodhana, with his partisans and friends, will meet his fate. King Virata, then having honored Krishna, sent him home with his followers and relatives, and after Krishna had set out for Dvaraka, Yudhishthira and his followers, with King Virata, began to make preparations for war, and Virata and his relatives sent word to all the monarchs, and King Drupada also did the same, and at the request of those lions of the Kuru race, as also of the 2 kings of the Matsiyas and the Pankhalas, many lords of the earth possessed of great strength came to the place with cheerful hearts. And when the sons of Dhritarashtra heard that the Pandavas had collected a large army, they also assembled many rulers of the earth, and at that time the whole land became thronged with the rulers of the earth, who were marching to espouse the cause of either the Kurus or the Pandavas. And the land was full of military bands composed of 4 kinds of forces, and from all sides the forces began to pour in, and the goddess Earth with her mountains and forests seemed to tremble beneath their tread, and the king of the Panchalas, having consulted the wishes of Yudhishthira, dispatched to the Kurus his own priest, who was old both in years and understanding. Drupada said, of beings those that are endowed with life are superior, of living beings those that are endowed with intelligence are superior, of intelligent creatures men are superior, of men the twice born are superior, of the twice born students of the Veda are superior, of students of the Veda those of cultured understanding are superior, of cultured men practical persons are superior, and finally of practical men those knowing the Supreme Being are superior. You, it seems to me, are at the very top of those that are of cultured understanding. You are distinguished both for age and learning. You are equal in intellect to either Sukra or Vrihaspati, the son of Angiras. You know what kind of man the chief of the Kuru race is, and what kind of man also is Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti. It was with Dhritarashtra knowledge that the Pandavas were deceived by their opponents. Tog, instructed by Vidura, he yet follows his son. Sakuni advisedly challenged Yudhishthira to a gambling match, although the latter was unskilled in gambling, while the former was an adept in it. Unskilled in play, Yudhishthira was guileless and firm in following the rules of the military order. Having thus cheated the virtuous King Yudhishthira, they will by no means voluntarily yield up the kingdom. If you speak words of righteousness unto Dhritarashtra, you will certainly gain the hearts of his fighting men. Vidura will make use of those words of yours, and will thus alienate the hearts of Bhisma, and Drona, and Kripa, and others. When the officers of state are alienated, and fighting men are backward, the task of the enemy will be to gain back their hearts. In the meantime, the Pandavas will, with ease and with their whole hearts, interest themselves in preparing the arm and in collecting stores. And when the enemy's adherents are estranged, and while you are hanging about them, they will surely not be able to make adequate preparations for war. This course seems expedient in this wise. On your meeting with Dhritarashtra, it is possible that Dhritarashtra may do what you say. And as you are virtuous, you must therefore act virtuously towards them, and to the compassionate you must descant upon the various hardships that the Pandavas have endured, and you must estrange the hearts of the aged persons by discoursing upon the family usages which were followed by their forefathers. I do not entertain the slightest doubt in this matter, nor need you be apprehensive of any danger from them, for you are a Brahmana vested in the Vedas, and you are going thither as an ambassador, and more especially, you are an aged man. Therefore, I ask you to set out without delay towards the Kauravas with the objects of promoting the interests of the Pandavas, timing your departure under the combination called Pushiya, and at that part of the day called Jaya. Thus instructed by the magnanimous Drupada, the virtuous priest set out for Hastinapur, and that learned man, well vested in the principles of the science of politics, started with a following of disciples towards the Kurus for the sake of promoting the welfare of Pandu's sons. Having dispatched the priest to the city called after the elephant, they sent messengers to the kings of various countries, and having sent messengers to other places, the Kuru hero, the Dhananjaya, that bull among men and son of Kunti, himself set out for Dvaraka. And after Krishna and Baladeva, the descendants of Madhu, had both departed for Dvaraka with all the Vrishnis and the Andihakas and the Bihojas, by hundreds, the royal son of Dhritarashtra had, by sending secret emissaries, furnished himself with information of all the doings of the Pandavas. And learning that Krishna was on his way, the prince went to the seat of Dvaraka by means of fine horses, possessing the speed of the wind, and taking with him a small number of troops. And on that very day the son of Kunti and Pandu, the Dhananjaya, also speedily arrived at the beautiful city of the Anartha land, and the two scions of the Kuruhes, those tigers among men, on arriving there, saw that Krishna was asleep, and drew near him as he lay down. And as Krishna was sleeping, Duryodhana entered the room and sat down on a thin seat at the head of the bed. And after he entered, that weary of the diadem, the magnanimous Arjuna, and he stood at the back of the bed, bowing and joining his hands. And when the descendant of Vrishni, Krishna, awoke, he first cast his eyes on Arjuna, and having asked them as to the safety of their journey, and having fitly bestowed his greetings upon them, the slayer of Madhu questioned them as to the occasion of their visit. Then Duryodhana addressed Krishna with a cheerful countenance, saying, "It behoveth you to lend me your help in the impending war. Arjuna and myself are both equally your friends, and you bear the same relationship to both of us. And today I have been the first to come to you. Right-minded persons take up the cause of him who comes first to them. This is how the ancients acted, and you stand at the very top of our right-minded persons in the world, and are always respected. I ask you to follow the rule of conduct observed by right-minded men." Krishna replied, "That you have come first, I do not in the least doubt. The son of Kunti has been first beheld by me. On account of your first arrival, and on account of my having beheld Arjuna first, I shall, no doubt, lend my assistance to both. It is said that those who are junior in years should have the first choice. Therefore, the Dhananjaya, the son of Kunti, is entitled to first choice. There is a large body of cow-heads, numbering 10 crow-heads, rivaling me in strength, and known as the Narayanas, all of whom are able to fight in the thick of battle. These soldiers, irresistibly in battle, shall be sent to one of you, and I alone, resolved not to fight on the field, and laying down my arms, will go to the other. You may first select whichever of these two commands itself to you, for according to law you have the right to the first choice." Thus addressed by Krishna, the Dhananjaya, the son of Kunti, selected Kesava, who was not to fight on the battlefield. Even Narayana himself, the slayer of foes, increate, born among men at his own will, the foremost of all Kshatriyas, and above all the gods and the Danavas. And Duryodhana selected for himself that entire arm, and having obtained those troops, numbering thousands upon thousands, he was exceedingly delighted, although he knew that Krishna was not on his side. And having secured that arm possessed of terrible prowess, Duryodhana went to the son of Rohini, of great strength, and explained to him the object of his visit. The descendant of Sura, in reply, addressed the following words to Dhritarashtra's son: "Thou shouldst remember, out that are said at the marriage ceremony celebrated by Virata. For their sake, then contradicted Krishna and spoke against his opinions, and again alluded to the equality of our relationship to both the parties. Krishna did not adopt the views then expressed, nor can I separate myself from Krishna for even a single moment, and seeing that I cannot act against Krishna, even this is resolution formed by me, that I will fight neither for Kunti's sons nor for you, and born as thou art in Bharata haste, that is honored by all the kings, go and fight in accordance with the rules of propriety. Thus addressed, Duryodhana embraced that hero yielding a plug for his weapon of battle, and outhog, knowing that Krishna had been taken away from his side, he yet regarded Arjuna as already vanquished, and the royal son of Dhritarashtra then went to Kritavarman, and Kritavarman gave him a body of troops numbering an Akishauhini, and surrounded by that military host, terribly to behold, the Kaurava marched forth, delighting his friends. And after Duryodhana had departed, Krishna, the creator of the world, clad in yellow attire, addressed Kiritin, saying, "For what reason is it that you have selected me who will not fight at all?" Arjuna answered, "I question not that you are able to slay them all. I am alone capable of slaying them. You are an illustrious person in the world, and this now will accompany you. I am a suitor for fame. Therefore, you have been selected by me. It has been always my desire to have you for driving my car. I ask you to fulfill my desire, cherished for a long time." Vasudeva's son thereupon said, "It beseems thee well, that thou measurest thyself with me. I will act as thy charioteer. Let thy wish be fulfilled." Then, with a glad heart, Kunti's son, accompanied by Krishna as well as by the flower of the Dasarha haze, came back to Yudhishthira. Having learned the news from the messengers, Saliya, accompanied by a large body of troops and by his sons, all of whom were marked in battle, was coming to the Pandavas. His encampment covered an area of 1.5 yojana. So large was the force owned by that best of men. He was the master of an Akishauhini, and had great prowess and valor. And there were in his arm heroes bearing armor of various colors, with diverse kinds of banners, and bows, and ornaments, and cars, and animals, all wearing excellent garments, and various robes and ornaments. And hundreds and thousands of foremost of Kshatriyas were the leaders of his troops, dressed and decorated in the manner of their native land, and he proceeded by slow marches, giving haste to his troops, towards the place where the Pandava was. And the creatures of the earth felt oppressed, and the earth trembled under the tread of his troops. And King Duryodhana, hearing that magnanimous and mighty hero was on his way, hastened towards him and paid him honors, and caused finely decorated places of entertainment to be constructed at different spots for his reception, on beautiful sites, and whither many artists were directed to entertain the guests. And those pavilions contained garlands and meat, and the choicest viands and drinks, and wells of various forms, capable of refreshing the heart, and tanks of various forms, and edibles, and home apartments. And arriving at those pavilions, and waited upon like a very god by the servants of Duryodhana, located at different spots, Saliya reached another house of entertainment, resplendent as a retreat of the celestials. And there greeted with choice creatory comforts, fit for beings superior to men. He deemed himself superior even to the Lord himself of the gods, and talked meanly of Indra as compared with himself. And that foremost of Kshatriyas, well pleased, asked the servants, saying, "Where are those men of Yudhishthira who have prepared these places of refreshment? Let those men who made these be brought to me. I deem them worthy of being rewarded by me. I must reward them. Let it so please the son of Kunti." The servants, surprised, submitted the whole matter to Duryodhana, and when Saliya was exceedingly pleased and ready to grant even his life, Duryodhana, who had remained concealed, came forward and showed himself to his maternal uncle. And the king of the mothers saw him and understood that it was Duryodhana who had taken all the trouble to receive him. And Saliya embraced Duryodhana and said, "Accept something that you may desire." Duryodhana said, "Let thy word be true. Grant me a boon. I ask thee to be the leader of all my army." And hearing this, Saliya said, "Be it so. What else is to be done?" And the son of Gandhihari repeated again, "It is done." And Saliya said, "Go to thy own city. I shall proceed to pay a visit to Yudhishthira, the subduer of foes. I shall speedily come back. That the best of men, Pandu's son Yudhishthira, must by all means be visited by me." And hearing this, Duryodhana said, "Having seen the Pandava, come speedily back. I depend entirely upon thee. Remember the boon that thou hast granted me." And Saliya answered, "Good betide thee, I shall come speedily back. Repair to thy own city." And then those two kings, Saliya and Duryodhana, embraced each other. And having thus greeted Saliya, Duryodhana came back to his own city. And Saliya went to inform the sons of Kunti of that proceeding of his. And having reached Upalavia and entered the encampment, Saliya saw there all the sons of Pandu. And the might-armed Saliya, having met the sons of Pandu, accepted as uswada for washing his feet, and the customary gifts of honor, including a cow. And the king of the mothers, that slayer of foes, first asked them how they were, and then with great delight embraced Yudhishthira and Bhima and Arjuna and the sons of his sister, the two twin brothers. And when I had sat down, Saliya spoke to Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, saying, "It is all well with thee. How fortunately hast thou spent the term of thy residence in the wilderness. It was an exceedingly hard task that thou hast performed by dwelling in the wilderness together with thy brothers, and this noble laid here. And how fully difficult task again was that sojourn of thine, the period of concealment, which task also thou hast performed. For on pull thou from a throne, it is nothing but hardship that awaits him. Where is there any happiness for him? In compensation for all this vast misery wrought by the Dhritarashtra son, thou wilt attain to proportional happiness after having killed thy foes. The ways of the world are known to thee. Therefore thou art never guided by avarice in any of thy dealings. Do thou tread on the footprints of ancient saintly kings. My son Yudhishthira, be stead in the path of liberality and self-abnegation, and truth, and mercy, and self-control, and truth, and universal sympathy, and everything wonderful in this world are to be found in thee. Thou art mild, munificent, religious and liberal, and thou regardest virtue as the highest good. Men are the rules of virtue that prevail amongst men, and all those are known to thee. Thou knowest in fact everything relating to this world. How lucky it is that thou hast come out of this difficult of thine. How lucky it is that I see thee so virtuous as so, a treasury house of righteousness, freed with thy followers from these. Then the king spoke of his meeting with Duryodhana and gave a detailed account regarding that prophecy of his and that boon granted by himself. And Yudhishthira said, It has been well done by thee that being pleased at heart thou hast plighted thy truth to Duryodhana. Good betide thee. I ask thee to do one thing only. Thou wilt have to do it solely for my sake, though it may not be proper to be done. Hear what I submit to thee. Thou art equal to Krishna on the field of battle, when the single combat between Karna and Arjuna will take place. I have no doubt thou wilt have to drive Karna car on that occasion. If thou art inclined to do good to me, thou must protect Arjuna. Thou must likewise so act that the Suta's son, Karna, may be dispirited, and the victory may be ours. Improper it no doubt is, for all that thou must do it. Saliya said, Good betide thee. Thou tellest me to do so act, that the Wilson of the Suta may be dispirited in fight. To be sure, I shall be his charioteer on the field, for he always considered me equal to Krishna. I shall certainly speak to him when desirous of fighting on the field of battle was contradictory and fraught with harm to him, so that bereft of pride and valor he may be easily slain by his antagonist. This I tell thee truly. Asked by thee to do it, this I am determined to do. Whatever else I may be able to bring about, I shall do for thy good. Whatever troubles were suffered by thee together with Draupadi on the occasion of the game at dice, the rude inhuman was uttered by the Suta's son, the misery inflicted by the Asura, Jata, and by Kikaka, all the miseries experienced by Draupadi, like those formerly experienced by Damayanti, will all and enjoy. Thou shouldst not be aggrieved at this, for destiny is all powerful in this world, and high-minded persons have to endure miseries of various kinds. Nay, even the gods themselves have suffered misfortunes. It is narrated that the high-minded Indra, the chief of the celestials, had to endure together with his wife very great misery. Yudhishthira said, I wish to know how it was that great and unparalleled misery had to be endured by the illustrious Indra together with his queen. Saliya said, Listen to me as I relate this ancient history of the events of former days, how misery befell Indra and his wife. Once Tivastri, the lord of creatures and the foremost of celestials, was engaged in practicing rigid austerities. And it is said that, from antipathy to Indra, he created a son having 3 heads, and that being of universal form, possessed of great lustre, hankered after Indra's seat, and possessed of those 3 awful faces, resembling the sun, the moon, and the fire. He read the Vedas with one mouth, drank wine with another, and looked with the third as if he would absorb all the cardinal points. And given to the practice of austerities, and mild being and self-controlled, he was intent upon a life of religious practice and austerities. and his practice of austerities was higid and terribly and of an exceedingly severe character, and beholding the austerities, courage, and truthfulness of these own possessed of immeasurable energy, Indra became anxious, fearing lest that being should take his place, and Indra reflected, how may he be made to addict himself to sensual enjoyments? How may he be made to cease his practice of such rigid austerities? For were the three-headed being to wax strong, he would absorb the unholy universe. And it was thus that Indra pondered in his mind, and endowed with intelligence, he ordered the celestial nymphs to tempt the son of Tivastri. And he commanded them, saying, be quick and go without delay, and so tempt him, that the three-headed being may plunge himself into sensual enjoyment to the utmost extent, furnished with captivating hips, array yourselves in voluptuous attires, and decking yourselves in charming necklaces, do ye display gestures and blandishments of love, and with loveliness do ye tempt him, and alleviate my dread. I feel restless in my heart. Avert ye, ladies, this awful peril that hangs over me. Good betide you. Then the nymphs said, we shall so endeavor to allure him. Thou wilt have nothing to fear at his hands. That very receptacle of austerities, sitting now as if scorching everything with his eyes, we are going together to tempt. We shall try to bring him under our control, and to put an end to your fears. Commanded by Indra, they then went to the three-headed being, and arriving there, those lovely damsels tempted him with various gestures of love, displaying their thin figures. Engaged in practice of exceedingly severe austerities, although he looked at them, yet he was not influenced by desire. Of subdued senses, he was like the ocean, full to the brim in gravity, and the nymphs, after having tried their best, came back to Indra, and they all with joined hands spoke to the Lord of the Celestials, saying, that unapproachable being is incapable of being disturbed by us. Thou mayest do what now may seem proper to thee. The high-minded Indra honored the nymphs, and then dismissed them, reflecting solely upon other means of destroying his foe. And endowed with intelligence, he fixed upon a contrivance for destroying the three-headed being, and he said, let me today hurl my thunderbolt at him. By these means he will speedily be killed. Even a strong person should not overlook a rising foe, contemptibly tall he may be, and thus reflecting upon the lessons inculcated in treatises of learning, he was firmly resolved upon slaying that being. Then Indra, enraged, hurled at the three-headed being his thunderbolt, which looked like fire and was terribly to behold, and which inspired dread. And forcibly struck by that thunderbolt, he was slain and fell down, as falls on the earth the loosened summit of a hill. And beholding him slain by the thunderbolt, and lying down hug as a hill, the chief of the Celestials found no peace, and felt as if scorched by the effulgent appearance of the dead. For though slain, he had a blazing and effulgent appearance, and looked like unalive, and, strange to say, though lifeless, his head seemed to be alive, as they were beheld lying low on the field, and exceedingly afraid of that lustre, Indra remained plunged in thought. And at that time, bearing an axe on his shoulder, a carpenter came to the forest and approached the spot where lay that being, and Indra, the lord of Sakhi, who was afraid, saw the carpenter come there by chance, and the chastiser of Paka said unto him immediately, though these my behest, quickly cut off these own heads. The carpenter thereupon said, his shoulders are broad, this axe will not be able to cut them off, nor shall I be able to do what is condemned by righteous persons. And Indra said, do not fear, quickly do what I say. At my command thy axe shall equal the thunderbolt. The carpenter said, whom am I to take thee to be who hast done this frightful deed today? This I wish to learn. Tell me the exact truth. And Indra said, I am Indra, the chief of the gods. Let this be known to thee. Do thou act just as I have told thee. Do not hesitate. The carpenter said, how is it that thou art not ashamed of this thy inhuman act? How it is that thou hast no dread of the sin of slaying a Brahmana, after having slain the son of a saint? Indra said, I shall afterwards perform some religious ceremony of a rigorous kind, to purify myself from this taint. This was a powerful enemy of mine, whom I have killed with my thunderbolt. Even now I am uneasy. I dread him even now. Do thou quickly cut off his head. I shall bestow my favor upon thee. In sacrifices men will give thee the head of the sacrificial beast as thy share. This is the favor I confer on thee. Do thou quickly perform what I desire. Hearing this, the carpenter, at the request of the great Indra, immediately severed the heads of the three-headed one with his axe. And when the heads were cut off, out flew therefrom a number of birds, partridges, quails, and sparrows. And from the mouth wherewith he used to recite the Vedas and to drink the summer juice, came out partridges in quick succession, and from the mouth with which he used to look at the cardinal points as if absorbing them all, a number of quails came forth, and from that mouth of the three-headed being which used to drink wine, out flew a number of sparrows and hawks, and the heads having been cut off, Indra was freed from his trepidation, and went to heaven, glad at heart. And the carpenter went back to his house, and the slayer of Asuras, having killed his foe, considered his object gained. Now when the lord of creatures, Tivastri, heard that his son had been slain by Indra, his eyes became red with ire, and he spoke the following words: Sighs Indra have killed my son, who had committed no offense at all, who was constantly engaged in the practice of austerities, who was merciful, possessed of self-control, and of subdued passions. Therefore, for the destruction of Indra, I will create Vritra. Let the worlds behold what power I possess, and how might is the practice of austerities. Let that inhuman, wicked-minded Lord of the gods witness the same. And saying this, that engaged on, famous for his austerities, washed his mouth with water, made offerings on the fire, created the terrible Vritra, and spake to him, saying, Destined slayer of Indra, grow in might even from the strength of my austere reach. And that Asura grew in might, towering towards the firmament, and resembling the sun of fire. And he asked, rising like the doomsday sun, what am I to do? Kill Indra, was the reply. And then he departed towards the celestial regions, and next ensued a great fight between Vritra and Indra, both fired with wrath, and there took place a terrible combat. And the heroic Vritra seized the celestial lord, who had performed 100 sacrifices, and filled with wrath, he whirled Indra and threw him into his mouth. And when Indra was swallowed up by Vritra, the terrified senior gods, possessed of great might, created Jrimbihika to kill Vritra. And as Vritra yawned and his mouth opened, the slayer of the Asura, Vala, contracted the different parts of his body and came out from within Virata's mouth. And thenceforth the yawn attached itself to the living breath of animated beings in 3 words. And the gods rejoiced at the egress of Indra. And once again commenced the terrible fight between Vritra and Indra, both full of ire. And it was waged for a long while. And when Vritra, inspired with the might spirit of Tivastri, and himself endowed with strength, got the upper hand in fight, Indra turned back, and on his retreat the gods became exceedingly distressed, and all of them together with Indra were overpowered by the might of Tivastri, and they all consulted with the saints, and they deliberated as to what was proper to be done, and were overwhelmed with dread, and seated on the top of the Mandara mountain, and bent on killing Vritra, they unbetogged themselves of Vishnu, the indestructibly on. Indra said, "This whole indestructible universe hath been pervaded by Vritra. There is nothing that can be equal to the task of opposing him. I was capable of yore. Now I am incapable. What good betide you can I do? I believe him to be unapproachably powerful and magnanimous, possessing immeasurably strength. In fact, he won't be able to swallow up all the 3 worlds with the gods, the Asuras, and the men. Therefore, hear ye dwellers of heaven, this is my resolution. Proceeding to the abode of Vishnu, in company with that high-souled being, must we consult and ascertain the means of slaying this ruthless wretch." Indra, having thus spoken, the gods with that host of rishis repaired to the might god Vishnu to place themselves under the protection of that protector of all, and afflicted with the dread of Vritra, they said unto the supreme lord of the deities, "Thou hast in former times covered the 3 worlds with 3 steps. Thou hast procured the ambrosial food, and destroyed the Asuras impatiently. Thou didst bind the great Asura, Vali, and hast raised Indra to the throne of heaven. Thou art the lord of the gods, and this entire universe is pervaded by thee. Thou art the god, the mighty deity, saluted by all persons. Be thou the refuge of all the celestials together with Indra. The whole universe hath been pervaded by Vritra." And Vishnu said, "I am no doubt bound to do what is for your good. I shall, therefore, tell you of a contrivance whereby he may be annihilated. Do ye with the rishis and the Gandharvas repair to the place where Vritra, that bearer of a universal form, is, and adopt towards him a conciliatory police. You will thus succeed in overthrowing him. By virtue of my power, victory, ye gods, will be won by Indra, for remaining invisibly, I shall enter into his thunderbolt, that best of weapons. Depart ye with the rishis and the Gandharvas. Let there be no delay in effecting a peace between Indra and Vritra." When he had thus spoken, the rishis and the celestials placed Indra at their head, and, uniting together, went away. Approaching Indra, they beheld Vritra, glowing and resplendent as if scorching the 10 points, and swallowing all the 3 worlds, and resembling the sun or the moon. And then the rishis came up to Vritra and spoke to him in conciliatory terms, saying, "Thou unconquerable being, the whole of this universe hath been pervaded by thy energy. Thou art not able, however, to overpower Indra. A long period hath now elapsed since you began to fight. Our beings, with the gods and the Asuras and men, are suffering from the effects of the fight, let there be eternal friendship between thee and Indra. Thou shalt be happy and shalt dwell eternally in Indra regions. And the mighty Vritra, having heard the oaths of the saints, bowed his head unto them, and the Asura spoke. What you and also all these Gandharvas are saying, I have heard. Ye stainless beings, hear what I have got to say. How can there be peace between us two, Indra and myself? How can there be friendship, ye gods, between two hostile powers? The Rish said, friendship among righteous persons happens at a single meeting. It is a desirable object. Thereafter will happen what is fated to be. The opportunity of forming friendship with a righteous person should not be sacrificed. Therefore, the friendship of the righteous should be sought. The friendship of the righteous is excellent in wealth, for he that is wise won't give advice when it is needed. The friendship of a good person is of great use. Therefore, a wise person should not desire to kill a righteous one. Indra is honored by the righteous, and is the refuge of magnanimous persons, being veracious and unblameable, and knows what virtue is, and is possessed of a refined judgment. Let there be eternal friendship between thee and Indra, as described above. In this way have faith, let not thy heart be differently inclined. Hearing these words of the great rishis, the illustrious Asura spoke to them. No doubt the rishis, endowed with supernatural powers, are to be respected by me. Let what I am going to say, ye gods, be performed in its entirety. Then I shall do everything that best of Brahmanas have said to me. Ye laws of the Brahmana race, ordain so that Indra himself or the gods do not kill me by what is dry or wet, by stone or by wood, by a weapon fit for close fight, or by a missile in the daytime or at night. On those terms, eternal peace with Indra won't be acceptable to me. Very good, was what the rishis told him. Thus peace having been concluded, Vritra was very much pleased, and Indra became pleased, constantly occupied with the thought of killing Vritra, and the chief of the deities passed his time in search of a loophole, uneasy. And on a certain day, when it was evening and the hour awful, Indra caught sight of the mighty Asura on the coast of the sea, and he bethought himself of the boon that was granted to the illustrious Asura, saying, This is the awful evening time. It is neither day nor night, and this Vritra, my enemy, who hath stripped me of my all, must undoubtedly be killed by me. If I do not kill Vritra, this great and mighty Asura of gigantic frame, even by the sight, it will not go well with me. And as Indra talked of all this, bearing Vishnu in mind, he beheld at that instant in the sea a mass of froth as large as a hill, and he said, This is neither dry nor wet, nor is it a weapon. Let me hurl it at Vritra. Without doubt he will die immediately. And he threw at Vritra that mass of froth blended with the thunderbolt, and Vishnu, having entered within that froth, put an end to the life of Vritra. And when Vritra was killed, the cardinal points were free from gloom, and there blew a pleasant breeze, and all beings were much pleased. And the deities with the Gandharvas and Yakishas and Hakishasas with the great snakes and saints glorified the mighty Indra with various laudatory hymns, and saluted by all beings, Indra spoke words of encouragement to all, and his heart was glad as also that of every one of the gods, for having killed the foe, and knowing the nature of virtue, he worshipped Vishnu, the most praiseworthy of all objects in the world. Now when the mighty Vritra, terribly to the gods, was killed, Indra became overpowered by falsehood, and he became exceedingly sad. And he was overpowered by the sin of Brahmanicidi, on account of having killed the three-headed son of Tivastri, and he betook himself to the confines of the world, and became bereft of his senses and consciousness, and overpowered by his own sins, he could not be recognized, and he lay concealed in water, just like a writhing snake. And when the Lord of Celestials, oppressed with the dread of Brahmanicide, had vanished from sight, the earth looked as if a havoc had passed over it, and it became treeless, and its woods withered, and the course of rivers was interrupted, and the reservoirs lost all their water, and there was distress among animals on account of cessation of rains, and the deities and all the great riches were in exceeding fear, and the world had no king, and was overtaken by disasters. Then the deities and the divine saints in heaven, separated from the chief of the gods, became terrified, and wondered who was to be their king, and nobody had an inclination to act as the king of the gods. Then all the riches and the superior gods said, "Let the handsome nahusha be crowned as king of the gods. He is powerful and renowned, and devoted to virtue evermore." And they all went and said to him, "Be thou our king." And Nahusha, intent on his welfare, spoke to those gods and saints, accompanied by the progenitors, "I am feeble. I am not capable of protecting you. It is a powerful person who should be your king. It is Indra who hath always been possessed of strength." And all the gods, led by the saints, spoke again to him, "Aided by the virtue of our austerities, rule thou the kingdom of heaven. There is no doubt that we have all our respective fears. Be crowned as the king of heaven. Whatever being may stand within thy sight, whether he be a god, an asura, a yakisha, a saint, a pitri, or a gandharva, thou shalt absorb his power and wax strong, always placing virtue before. Be thou the ruler of the world. Protect also the Brahmarsis and the gods in heaven." Then Nahusha was crowned king in heaven, and placing virtue before, he became the ruler of all the world, and talked always of a virtuous disposition. Yet when he obtained that precious boon and the kingdom of heaven, Nahusha assumed a sensual tone of mind, and when Nahusha became the king of the gods, he surrounded himself with celestial nymphs, and with damsels of celestial birth, and took to enjoyments of various kinds in the Nandana groves, on Mount Kailasa, on the crest of Himavat, on Mandara, the white hill Sahya, Mahendra, and Malaya, as also upon seas and rivers. And he listened to various divine narratives that captivated both the ear and the heart, and to the play of musical instruments of different sorts, and to sweet vocal strains, and Visvavasu, and Narada, and bevies of celestial nymphs, and bands of Gandharvas, and the 6 seasons in living shapes, attended upon the king of the gods, and fragrant breezes, refreshingly cool, blew round him, and while that wretch was thus enjoying himself on occasion, the goddess who was the favorite queen of Indra came in his sight, and that vicious soul, having looked at her, said to the courtiers, "Why doth not this goddess, the queen of Indra, attend upon me? I am the monarch of the gods, and also the ruler of the world. Let Sakhi make haste and visit me at my house. Said Danet, at hearing this, the goddess said to Vrihaspati, protect me from this nahusha. I come to you as my refuge. You always say that I have got on my person all the auspicious marks, being the favorite of the divine king, that I am chaste, devoted to my lord, and destined never to become a widow. All this about me you have said before. Let your words be made true. You never spoke words that were vain. Therefore, these that you have said ought to be true. Then Vrihaspati said to the queen of Indra, who was beside herself through fear, what thou hast been told by me will come to be true. Be sure, thou hast seen Indra, the lord of the gods, who will soon come back here. I tell thee truly, thou hast no fear from Nahusha. I shall soon unite thee with Indra. Now Nahusha came to hear that Indra queen had taken refuge with Vrihaspati, the son of Angiras, and at this the king became highly enraged. Seeing Nahusha enraged, the gods, led by the saints, spoke unto him, who was now their king of all Fulmian. King of gods, quit thy wrath. When thou art in wrath, the universe, with its asuras and Gandharvas, its kinaras and great snakes, quaketh. Quit this wrath, thou righteous being. Persons like thee do not put themselves out. That goddess is another person's wife. Be pacified. Turn back thy inclination from the sin of outraging another wife. Thou art the king of gods, prosperity to thee. Protect thy subjects in all righteousness. So addressed, he heeded not the saying, hindered senseless by lust. And the king spoke to the gods in allusion to Indra. Ahalia, of spotless fame, the wife of a saint, was outraged by Indra while her husband was alive. Why did ye not prevent him? Many were the deeds of inhumanity, of unrighteousness, of deceit, committed by Indra in former times. Why did ye not prevent him? Let the goddess do my pleasure. That won't be her permanent good. And so the same will evermore abound to your safety, ye gods. The gods say it. We shall bring to thee the queen of Indra, even as thou hast laid the command. Quit this wrath, thou valiant soul, be pacified. Thus having spoken to him, the gods with the saint went to inform Vrihaspati and the queen of Indra of the sad news. And they said, we know that the queen of Indra hath betaken herself to thy house for protection, and that thou hast promised her protection. We, the gods, and Gandharvas and saints, beseech thee to give up the queen of Indra to Nahusha. Nahusha, the king of gods, of great effulgence, is superior to Indra. Let her that laid of choice figure and complexion choose him as her lord. Thus addressed, the goddess gave vent to tears, and sobbing audibly, she mourned in piteous accents, and she spoke to Vrihaspati. I do not desire Nahusha to be my lord. I have betaken myself to thy protection. Deliver me from this great peril. Vrihaspati said, my resolution is this, I shall not abandon on that have sought my protection. I shall not abandon thee, virtuous as thou art and of a truthful disposition. I do not desire to do an improper act, especially as I am a Brahmana, knowing what righteousness is, having a regard for truth, and aware also of the precepts of virtue. I shall never do it. Go your ways, ye best of gods. Hear what have formerly been sung by Brahma with regard to the matter at hand. He that delivereth up to a foe of a person terrified and asking for protection, obtaineth not protection when he himself is in need of it. His seed doth not grow at seed time, and rain doth not come to him in the season of rains. He that delivereth up to a foe a person terrified and asking for protection, never succeedeth in anything that he undertaketh. Senseless as he is, he droppeth paralyzed from heaven. The gods refuse offerings made by him. His progeny die an untimely death, and his forefathers always quarrel. The gods with Indra at their head dart the thunderbolt at him. Know it to be so. I shall not deliver up this Sakhi here, the queen of Indra, famous in the world as his favorite consort. What may be for both her good and mine, I ask you to do. Sakhi, I shall never deliver up. Then the gods and the Gandharvas said these words to the preceptor of the gods. Deliberated upon something that may be conformed ably to sound policy. Vrihaspati said, let this goddess of auspicious looks ask for time from Nahusha in order to make up her mind to his proposal. This will be for the good of Indra queen, and of us as well. Time, ye gods, may give rise to many impediments. Time will send time onward. Nahusha is proud and powerful by virtue of the boon granted to him. Vrihaspati, having spoken so, the gods, delighted, then said, well hast thou said, this is for the good of all the gods. It is no doubt so. Only let this goddess be propitiated. Then the assembled gods, led by Agni, with a view to the welfare of all the worlds, spoke to Indra queen in a quiet way. And the gods said, thou art supporting the whole universe of things mobile and immobile. Thou art chaste and true. Go thou to Nahusha, that vicious being, lustful after thee, will shortly fall, and Indra will get the sovereignty of the gods, ascertaining this to be the result of that deliberation. Indra queen, for attaining her end, went bashful to Nahusha of awful mien. The vicious Nahusha also, rendered senseless by lust, saw how youthful and lovely she was, and became highly pleased. Now then Nahusha, the king of the gods, looked at her and said, I am the Indra of all the three worlds. Accept me as thy lord. The chaste goddess, thus addressed by Nahusha, was terrified and quaked like a plantain stalk at a breeze spot. She bowed her head to Brahma, and joining her hands spoke to Nahusha, the king of the gods, of awful mien, and said, I desire to obtain time. It is not known what hath become of Indra, or where he is. Having inquired into the truth regarding him, if I obtain no news of him, then I shall visit thee. This tell I thee for truth. Thus addressed by Indra queen, Nahusha was pleased, and Nahusha said, let it be so, even as thou art telling me. Thou wilt come after having ascertained the news. I hope thou wilt remember thy plighted truth. Dismissed by Nahusha, she of auspicious looks stepped out, and that famous lady went to the abode of Vrihaspati. And the gods with Agni at their head, when they heard her words, deliberated intent upon what would promote the interests of Indra, and they then joined the powerful Vishnu, the god of gods, and skilled in making speeches. The uneasy gods spoke the following words to him. Indra, the lord of all the gods, have been overpowered by the sin of Brahmani's seed. Thou art the firstborn, the ruler of the universe, and our refuge. Thou hast assumed the form of Vishnu for the protection of all beings. When Vritra was killed through thy energy, Indra was overwhelmed by the sin of Brahmani's seed. Prescribe the means of setting him free. Having heard these words of the gods, Vishnu said, Let Indra offer sacrifice to me, even I shall purify the holder of the thunderbolt. The chastiser of Paka, having performed the whole horse sacrifice, will fearlessly gain his dignity as lord of the gods, and the wicked-minded Nahusha will be led to destruction by his evil deeds. For a certain period, ye gods, ye must be patient, being vigilant at the same time. Having heard these words of Vishnu, words that were true and pleasant like ambrosia to their ears, the gods, with their preceptor, and with the rishis, proceeded to that spot where Indra was uneasy with fear. And there was performed a great horse sacrifice, capable of removing the sin of Brahmani's seed, for the purification of the high-minded and great Indra, and the Lord of the gods divided the sin of Brahmani's seed among trees and rivers and mountains and the earth and woman, and having distributed it thus among those beings and parted with it, Indra was free from fever, and hid of his sin he came to himself. And at that place the slayer of the Asura Vala quaked when he looked at Nahusha, before whom our animated beings felt cowed, and who was unapproachably by virtue of the boon the rishis had granted to him. And the divine husband of Sakhi vanished from sight once again, and invisibly to all beings he wandered biding his time. And Indra having disappeared, Sakhi fell into grief, and exceedingly miserably she bewailed, Alas, if ever I have made a gift, or made offering to the gods, or have propitiated my spiritual guides, if there is any truth in me, then I pray that my chastity may remain inviolate. I bow myself to this goddess, naked, whole, poor, running her course during this, the northern journey of the sun. Let my desire be fulfilled. Saying this, she, in a purified condition of body and soul, worshipped the goddess night, and in the name of her chastity and truth she had recourse to divination, and she asked, Show me the place where the king of the gods is. Let truth be verified by truth. And it was thus that she addressed the goddess of divination. Then the goddess of divination stood near that chaste and beautiful lady, and having beheld that goddess, youthful and lovely, standing before her, Indra queen, glad at heart, paid respects to them, and said, I desire to know who thou art. And divination said, I am divination, come near thee. Since thou art truthful, therefore do I appear in thy sight. Since thou art devoted to thy Lord, employed in controlling thyself, and engaged in the practice of religion's rites, I shall show thee the god Indra, the slayer of Vritra. Quickly come after me, so may good betide thee. Thou shalt see that best of gods. Then divination proceeded, and the divine queen of Indra went after her, and she crossed the heavenly groves and many mountains, and then having crossed the Himavat mountains, she came to its northern side, and having reached the sea, extending over many yojanas, she came upon a large island, covered with various trees and plants, and there she saw a beautiful lake of heavenly appearance, covered with birds, 800 miles in length, and as many in breadth. And upon it were full-blown lotuses of heavenly appearance, of 5 colors, hummed round by bees, and counting by thousands. And in the middle of that lake there was a large and beautiful assemblage of lotuses, having in its midst a large white lotus, standing on a lofty stalk. And penetrating into the lotus stalk, along with Sakhi, she saw Indra there, who had entered into its fibres. And seeing her lord lying there in a minute form, Sakhi assumed a minute form. So did the goddess of divination too. And Indra queen began to glorify him by reciting his celebrated deeds of yore. And thus glorified, the divine Purandara spoke to Sakhi. For what purpose hast thou come? How have I been found out? Then the gods spoke of the acts of Nahusha, and she said, having obtained the sovereignty of the three worlds, powerful and hawked, and of a vicious soul, he hath commanded me to visit him, and the cruel wretch hath even assigned me a definite time. If thou wilt not protect me, he will bring me under his power. For this reason have I come to thee in alarm. Slay the terrible Nahusha of vicious soul. Discover thyself, assume thy own strength, and rule the celestial kingdom. Thus addressed by Sakhi, the illustrious god said to her again, this is not the time for putting forth valor. Nahusha is stronger than I am. He hath been strengthened by the riches with the merits of offerings to the gods and the Pitris. I shall have a cause to policy now. Thou wilt have to carry it out. Thou must do it secretly, and must not disclose it to any person. Going to Nahusha in private, tell him, thou must visit me mounted on a nice vehicle borne by riches. In that case I shall be pleased, and shall place myself at thy disposal. This shouldst thou tell him. And thus addressed by the king of the gods, his lotus-eyed consort expressed her consent, and went to Nahusha. And Nahusha, having seen her, smiling addressed her, saying, I welcome thee. What is thy pleasure? Accept me, who I am devoted to thee. What is thy will? I shall do thy wish. Nor needst thou be bashful. Have trust in me. In the name of truth, I swear that I shall do thy bidding. Sakhi said, I wanted the time that thou hast assigned to me. Thereafter thou shalt be my husband. I have a wish. Attend and hear. What it is I shall say, so that thou mayest do what I like. This is an indulgence that I ask from thy love for me. If thou grantest it, I shall be at thy disposal. Indra had horses for carrying him, and elephants and cars. I want thee to have a novel vehicle, such as never belonged to Vishnu, or Rudra, or the Asuras, or the Rakshasas. Let a number of highly dignified riches, united together, bear thee in a palanquin. This is what commands itself to me. Thou shouldst not liken thyself to the Asuras or the gods. Thou absorbest the strength of all by thy own strength, as soon as they look at thee. There is none so strong as to be able to stand before thee. Thus addressed, Nahusha was very much pleased, and the Lord of the deities said to that lady of faultless features, Thou hast spoken of a vehicle never heard of before. I like it exceedingly. I am in thy power. He cannot be a feeble person who employeth riches for bearing him. I have practised austerities, and I am might. I am the Lord of the past, the present, and the future. The universe would be no more if I were in haste. The whole universe is established in me. The gods, the asuras, and Gandharvas, and snakes, and Rakshasas are together, unable to cope with me when I am in haste. Whomsoever I gaze upon a diverse thing of his energy, therefore thy request I shall no doubt fulfill. The 7 riches, and also the regenerate riches, shall carry me, see your greatness and splendor. Having thus addressed that goddess of lovely face, and having dismissed her thus, he harnessed to his heavenly car a number of saints devoted to the practice of austerities. A disregarder of Brahmans, endowed with power and intoxicated with pride, capricious and of vicious soul, he employed those saints to carry him. Meanwhile, dismissed by nahusha, he went to Vrihaspati and said, Little remaineth of the term assigned by nahusha to me. Compassionate unto me who respect thee so, and quickly find out Indra. The illustrious Vrihaspati then said to her, Very good, thou needst not fear nahusha of vicious soul. Surely he shall not long retain his power. The wretch, in fact, is already gone, being regardless of virtue, and because of his employing the great saints to carry him. And I shall perform a sacrifice for the destruction of this vicious wretch, and I shall find out Indra. Thou needst not fear. Fare thee well. And Vrihaspati, of great power, then kindled a fire in the prescribed form, and put the very best offerings upon it, in order to ascertain where the king of the gods was. And having put his offerings, he said to the fire, Search out Indra, and there upon that heavenly god, the eater of burnt offerings, assumed of his own accord a wonderful feminine form, and vanished from sight at that very spot. And with speed of the mind, he searched everywhere, mountains and forests, earth and sky, and came back to Vrihaspati within the twinkling of the eye. And Agni said, Vrihaspati, now here in these places do I find the king of the gods. The waters alone remain to be searched. I am always backward in entering the waters. I have no ingress therein. What am I to do for thee? The preceptor of the gods then said to him, Do thou enter the water? Agni said, I cannot enter the water. Therein it is extinction that awaits me. I place myself in thy hand. Mayest thou fare well. Fire rose from water, the military caste rose from the priestly caste, and iron had its origin in stone. The power of these, which can penetrate all other things, have no operation upon the sources from which they spring. Vrihaspati said, Thou art the mouth of all the gods, thou art the carrier of sacred offerings, thou, like a witness, hast access to the inner souls of all creatures. The poets call thee single, and again threefold, eater of burnt offerings, abandoned by thee the universe, and forthwith cease to be. The Brahmanas, by bowing to thee, win with their wives and sons an eternal region, the reward of their own meritorious deeds. It is thou who art the bearer of sacred offerings. Thou art thyself the best offering. In a sacrificial ceremony of the supreme order, it is thee that they worship with incessant gifts and offerings. Bearer of offerings, having created the three worlds, that when the hour cometh, consumeth them in thy unkindled form. Thou art the mother of the unholy universe, and thou again art its termination. The wise call thee identical with the clouds and with the lightning. Flames ensuing from thee support all creatures. All the waters are deposited in thee, so is this entire world. To thee nothing is unknown in the three worlds. Everybody taketh kindly to his progenitor. Do thou enter the waters without fear. I shall handle thee strong with the eternal hymns of the Veda. Thus glorified the bearer of burnt offerings, that the best of poets, well pleased, spoke laudable words to Vrihaspati, and he said, I shall show Indra to thee. These I tell thee for truth. Then Agni entered the waters, including seers and tin ponds, and came to that reservoir where, while searching the lotus flowers, he saw the king of the gods lying within the fibs of a lotus stalk, and soon coming back, he informed Vrihaspati how Indra had taken refuge in the fibs of a lotus stalk, assuming a minute form. Then Vrihaspati, accompanied by the gods, the saints, and the Gandharvas, went and glorified the slayer of Vala by referring to his former deeds. And he said, the great Asura Namukhi was killed by thee, and those two Asuras of terrible strength, Samvara and Vala, wax strong and slay all thy foes. Rise, behold, here are assembled the gods and the saints. By slaying Asuras, thou hast delivered the worlds, having got the froth of waters, strengthened with Vishnu energy. Thou formerly slew Vritra. Thou art the refuge of all creatures, and art adorable. There is no being equal to thee. All the creatures are supported by thee. Thou didst build the greatness of the gods, deliver all together with the worlds by assuming thy strength. And thus glorified, Indra increased little by little, and having assumed his own form, he waxed strong, and spoke to the preceptor Vrihaspati standing before. And he said, what business of yours yet remaineth? The great Asuras, son of Tivastri, have been killed, and Vritra also, whose form was exceedingly big, and who destroyed the worlds. Vrihaspati said, the woman Nahusha, a king, having obtained the throne of heaven by virtue of the power of the divine saints, is giving us exceeding trouble. Indra said, how hath Nahusha obtained the throne of heaven, difficult to get? What austerities did he practice? How great is his power? Vrihaspati said, the gods, having been frightened, wished for a king of heaven, for thou hast given up the high dignity of heaven ruler. Then the gods, the Pitris of the universe, the saints, and the principal Gandharvas all meet together, and went to Nahusha, and said, be thou our king, and the defender of the universe. To them said Nahusha, I am not able. Fill me with your power and with the virtue of your austerities. So told the deities strengthened him. And thereupon Nahusha became a person of terrible strength, and becoming thus the ruler of the three worlds, he hath put the great saints in harness, and the wretch is thus journeying from world to world. Mayst thou never see Nahusha, who is terrible. He emitteth poison from his eyes, and absorbeth the energy of all. All the gods are exceedingly frightened. They go about concealed, and do not cast a glance at him. While that best of Angira race was thus speaking, there came that guardian of the world, Kuvera, and also Yama, the son of Surya, and the old god Soma and Varuna. And arrived there, they say to the great Indra, how look that the son of Tivastri have been killed, and Vritra also. How look that we are beholding thee safe and sound, while all thy enemies have been killed. Indra received all those guardians of the world, and with a glad heart greeted them in proper form, with a view to requesting them in connection with Nahusha. And he said, Nahusha of terrible mien is the king of the gods, therein lend me your assistance. They replied, Nahusha is of awful mien, his sight is poison, we are afraid of him. If thou overthrowest Nahusha, then we shall be entitled to our shares of sacrificial offerings. Indra said, let it be so. You and the ruler of the waters, and Yama and Kuvera, shall this day be crowned along with me, aided by all the gods. Let us overthrow the foe Nahusha of terrible gaze. Then Agni said to Indra, give me a share in sacrificial offerings. I shall lend you my assistance. Indra said to him, thou shalt get a share in great sacrifices. There will be a single share for both Indra and Agni. Thus did the illustrious Lord Indra, the chastiser of Paka, the giver of boons, bestow, after deliberation, upon Kuvera, the sovereignty over the Yakis house and all the wealth of the world, upon Yama, the sovereignty over the Pitris, and upon Varuna, that over the Vadas. Now when the great Indra, the intelligent chief of the gods, was deliberating with the guardians of the world and other deities upon the means of slaying Nahusha, there appeared at that spot the venerable ascetic Agastya. And Agastya honored the Lord of the gods and said, how fortunate that thou art flourishing after the destruction of that being of universal form, as also that of Vritra. And how fortunate Nahusha have been hurled from the throne of heaven. How fortunate that I behold thee with all thy enemies killed. Indra said, have thy journey hither been pleasant? I am delighted to see thee. Accept from me water for washing thy feet and face, as also the arghya and the coal. Indra, well pleased, began to question that best of saints and greatest of Brahmanas, when he was seated on a seat, after receiving due honors. Thus I wish to have it recited by thee how Nahusha of vicious soul was hurled from heaven. Agastya said, listen to the pleasant narrative how the wicked and vicious Nahusha, intoxicated with pride of strength, had been hurled from heaven. The poor-spirited Brahmanas and celestial saints, while carrying him, weary with toil, questioned that vicious on of victors, saying, there are certain hymns in the Vedas directed to be recited while sprinkling the coals. Are they authentic or not? Nahusha, who had lost his senses by the operation of the tamas, told them that they were not authentic. The saints then said, thou art tending towards unrighteousness, thou takest not to the righteous path. The greatest saints have formerly said that they are authentic, and incited by untruth, he touched me on my head with his foot. At this he became divested of power and of good looks. Then, as he was agitated and overpowered with fear, I spoke to him, such thou hast pronounced as spurious the unexpected able hymns of the Veda which have been recited by Brahmarsis. And since thou hast touched my head with thy foot, and since thou hast turned these unapproachably saints, equal to Brahma, into animals, for carrying thee, therefore, be divested of thy lustre, and being hurled headlong, fall thou from heaven, the effect of all thy good deeds being exhausted. For 10,000 years thou shalt, in the form of an enormous snake, roam over the earth. When that period is full, thou mayest come back to heaven. Thus hath that wretch been hurled from the throne of heaven. How fortunate that we are flourishing now, that thorn of the Brahmanas hath been killed. Repair thou to heaven, protect the words, subdue thy senses, subdue thy foes, and be glorified by the great saints. Then the gods and the bands of great saints were exceedingly pleased, and were the Pitris, the Yakishas, the snakes, Hakishasas, the Gandhiharvas, and all the bands of celestial nymphs, and the tanks, the rivers, the mountains, and the seas also were highly pleased, and all came up and said, How fortunate that thou art flourishing! How fortunate that the intelligent Agastya have killed the vicious nahusha! How fortunate that the vil individual have been turned into a snake to roam over the earth! Then Indra, glorified by the bands of Gandhiharvas and celestial nymphs, mounted on Airavata, the king of elephants, characterized by auspicious marks, and the illustrious Agni, and the great saint Vrihaspati, and Yama, and Varuna, and Kuvera, the lord of riches, accompanied him, and the lord Sakra, the slayer of Vritra, then went to the three wars, surrounded by the gods, together with the Gandhiharvas and the celestial nymphs, and the performer of 100 sacrifices, the king of the deities, was thus united with his queen. And he began to protect the wars with exceeding gladness. Then the illustrious divine saint, Angiras, arrived in the assembly of Indra, and worshipped him duly by reciting the hymns of the Atiharva. And the great Lord Indra became satisfied and granted a boon to the Atiharvangiras. And Indra said, Thou wilt be known as a rishi of the name Atiharvangiras in the Atiharva Veda, and thou wilt get a share in sacrifices, and having honored Atiharvangiras, thus the great Lord Indra, the performer of 100 sacrifices, parted with him. And he honored all the deities and all the saints, and with wealth of asceticism. And Indra, well pleased, governed the people virtuously. Thus was misery endured by Indra with his wife, and with the view of slaying his foes, even he had to pass a period in concealment. Thou shouldst not take it to heart that thou hast suffered with Draupadi, as also with thy high-minded brothers in the great forest. Thou wilt get back thy kingdom in the same way as Indra got his, after having killed Vritra, the vicious Nahusha, that enemy of Brahmanas, of evil mind, was overthrown by the curse of Agastya, and reduced to nothing for endless years. Similarly, thy enemies, Karna and Duryodhana, and others of vicious souls, will quickly be destroyed. Then thou wilt enjoy the whole of this earth, as far as the sea, with thy brothers and this Draupadi. This history of the victory of Indra, equal to the Veda in its sacred character, should be listened to by a king desirous of victory, and when his forces have been arrayed in order of battle. Therefore I am reciting it to thee for thy victory. High-exalted persons attain prosperity when they are glorified. The destruction of high-exalted Kshatriyas is at hand, by reason of the crimes of Duryodhana and Trog, the might of Bhima and Arjuna. He who heareth this history of Indra victory with a heart full of religion's faith, is cleansed of his sins, attaineth a region of bliss, and obtaineth joy both in this world and in the next. He hath no fear of his foes, he never becometh a sonless man, never encountereth any peril whatever, and enjoyeth long life. Everywhere victory declareth for him, and he knoweth not what defeat is. The king, that best of righteous men, thus encouraged by Salia, honored him in proper form, and Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, of powerful arms, having heard the words of Salia, he spoke to the king of the mothers the following words: "There is no doubt that thou wilt act as the charioteer of Karna. Thou must damp the spirits of Karna, then by recounting the praises of Arjuna." Salia said, "Let it be so. I shall do just as thou tellest me, and I shall do for thee anything else that I may be able to do." Then Salia, the king of the mothers, bade farewell to the sons of Kunti, and that handsome man then went with his arm to Duryodhana. Then Yudhishthira, the great hero of the Satyavata race, came to Yudhishthira with a large arm of foot, and horses, and cars, and elephants. And his soldiers of great valor come from various lands, bore various weapons of war, and heroic in look, they beautified the Pandava arm, and that arm looked splendid by reason of battle axes, and missiles, and spears, and lances, and mallets, and clubs, and stabs, and cords, and stainless swords, and daggers, and arrows of various kinds, are of the best temper. And the arm, beautified by those weapons, and resembling in color the cloud sky, assumed an appearance like to a mass of clouds with lightning flashes in its midst. And the arm counted an akishauhini of troops, and when absorbed in the troops of Yudhishthira, it entirely disappeared, as doth a small river when it enters the sea, and similarly the powerful chief of the heads, Dhristaketu, accompanied by an akishauhini, came to the sons of Pandu, of immeasurable strength, and the king of Magadha, Jayatisena, of great strength, brought with him for Yudhishthira an akishauhini of troops. And similarly, Pandya, who dwelt on the coast land near the sea, came accompanied by troops of various kinds to Yudhishthira, the king of kings. And when all these troops had assembled, his arm, finally dressed in exceedingly strong, assumed an appearance pleasant to the eye, and the arm of Drupada was beautified by valiant soldiers, who had come from various lands, and by his mighty sons. And similarly, Virata, the king of the Matsiyas, a leader of troops, accompanied by the king of the hill regions, came to Pandu's sons, and for the high-souled sons of Pandu, there were thus assembled from various directions 7 akishauhini of troops, bristling with banners of various forms, and eager to fight with the Kurus. They gladdened the hearts of the Pandavas, and in the same way King Bihagadatta, gladdening the heart of Dhritarashtra's son, gave an akishauhini of troops to him, and the unassailable mass of his troops, crowded with kings and kiratas, all looking like figures of gold, assumed a beauty like to that of a forest of Karnikara trees. And the valiant Bihuhisravas and Salia came to Duryodhana with an akishauhini of troops each, and Kritavarman, the son of Ridika, accompanied by the Bihoshas, and the Andihas, and the Kukuras, came to Duryodhana with an akishauhini of troops, and the body of his troops, composed of those mighty soldiers who wore on their persons garlands of many-colored flowers, looked as graceful as a number of sportive elephants that have passed through a wood, and others led by Jayadratha, the dwellers of the land of Sindhu-Sauvitra, came in such force that the hills seemed to tremble under their tread, and their force, counting an akishauhini, looked like a mass of clouds moved by the wind, and Sudakishina, the king of the Kambodjas, accompanied by the Yavanas and Sakas, came to the Kuru chief with an akishauhini of troops, and the body of his troops, that looked like a flight of locusts, meeting with the Kuru force, was absorbed and disappeared in it, and similarly came King Nila, the resident of the seat of the Mahismat, with mighty soldiers from the southern country, who carried weapons of pretty make, and the two kings of Avanti, accompanied by mighty force, brought to Duryodhana each a separate akishauhini of troops, and those tigers among men, the 5 royal brothers, the prince of Kekaya, hastened to Duryodhana with an akishauhini of troops, and gladdened his heart. And from the illustrious kings of other quarters there came 3 large divisions of troops, and thus Duryodhana had a force which numbered 11 akishauhini, all eager to fight with the sons of Kunti, and bristling with banners of various forms. And there was no space in the seat of Hastinapura, even for the principal leaders of Duryodhana army. And for this reason the land of the 5 rivers, and the whole of the region called Kurujangala, and the forest of Rohitaka, which was uniformly wild, and Ahikatra, and Kalakuta, and the banks of the Ganga, and Varana, and Vatadihana, and the hill tracts on the border of the Yamuna. The whole of this extensive tract, full of abundant corn and wealth, was entirely overspread with the arm of the Kauravas, and that arm, so arranged, was beheld by the priest who had been sent by the king of the Pankhalas to the Kurus. Then Drupada priest, having approached the Kaurava chief, was honored by Dhritarashtra, as also by Bhisma and Vidyura, and having first told the news of the welfare of the Pandavas, he inquired about the welfare of the Kauravas, and he spoke the following words in the midst of all the leaders of Duryodhana army: "The eternal duties of kings are known to you all. Talk no, I shall yet recite them as an introduction to what I am going to say. Both Dhritarashtra and Pandu are known to be sons of the same father. There is no doubt that the share of each to the paternal wealth should be equal. The sons of Dhritarashtra obtained the paternal wealth. Why did not the sons of Pandu at all receive their paternal portion? Ye are aware how formerly the sons of Pandu did not receive their paternal property, which was all usurped by Dhritarashtra's sons. The latter endeavored in various ways to remove the sons of Pandu from their path by employment even of murderous contrivances. But as their destined terms of life had not all run out, the sons of Pandu could not be sent to the abode of Yama. Then again, when those high-souled princes had carved out a kingdom by their own strength, the mean-minded sons of Dhritarashtra, aided by Suvala son, robbed them of it by the Sati. This Dhritarashtra gave his sanction even to that act as have been usual with him. And for 13 years they were then sent to sojourn in the great wilderness. In the council hall they had been subjected to indignities of various kinds, along with their wife. Valiant folk they were, and great were the sufferings that they had to endure in the woods. Those virtuous princes had to endure unspeakable woes in the seat of Virata, such as are endured only by vicious men, when their souls transmigrate into the forms of inferior beings. Overlooking all these injuries of yore, their desire nothing but a peaceful settlement with the Kurus. Remembering their behavior and that of Duryodhana, the later friends showed entreat him to consent to peace. The heroic sons of Pandu are not eager for war with the Kurus. They desire to get back their own share without involving the world in ruin. If the Dhritarashtra son assigns a reason in favor of war, that can never be a proper reason. The sons of Pandu are more powerful. 7 Akishauhinis of troops have been collected on behalf of Yudhishthira, our eager to fight with the Kurus, and they are now awaiting his word of command. Others there are, tigers among men, equal in might to 1,000 Akishauhinis, such as Satyaki and Bhimasena, and the twin brothers of might strength. It is true that these 11 divisions of troops are arrayed on one side, but these are balanced on the other by the might-armed Dhananjaya of manifold form. And as Kiritin exceeds in strength even all these troops together, so also doth Vasudeva son of great effulgence and powerful intellect, who is there that won't fight in view of the magnitude of the opposing force, the valor of Arjuna, and the wisdom of Krishna. Therefore, I ask you to give back what should be given, as dictated by morality and compact. Do not let the opportunity pass. Having heard his words, Bhisma, senior in wisdom, and endowed with great effulgence, paid honor to him, and then spoke most suitably to the occasion. And he said, "How fortunate that they are all well with Krishna! How fortunate that they have procured aid, and that they are inclined to a virtuous course! How fortunate that the scions of Kuru haste desire peace with their cousins! There is no doubt that what thou hast said is true. Thy words, however, are exceedingly sharp. The reason, I suppose, being that thou art a Brahmana. No doubt the sons of Pandu were much harassed, both here and in woods. No doubt by law they are entitled to get all the property of their father. Arjuna, the son of Pritha, is strong trained in weapons, and is a great cow warrior, who, in sooth, can withstand in battle Dhananjaya, the son of Pandu. Even the elder himself of the thunderbolt cannot. Other bowmen are hardly worth mention. My belief is that he is a match for all the 3 worlds. And while Bhisma was thus speaking, Karna, wrathful and insolently, interrupted his words, and looking at Duryodhana, said, "There is no creature in the world who is not informed of all these facts. What is the good of repeating them again and again?" On behalf of Duryodhana, Sakuni formerly won in game of dice. Yudhishthira, the son of Pandu, went to the woods according to a stipulation. He is now paying no regard to that stipulation, but confident of aid from the Matsiyas and Panchalas, he wisheth to get back his ancestral throne. Duryodhana would not yield even a single foot of land if thou appealest to his fears. If justice requires, he won't give up the whole earth, even to a foe. If they wish to get back their ancestral throne, they should pass the specified period of time in the forest, as had been stipulated. Afterwards, let them live as the dependants of Duryodhana, safe and sound. From do-headedness, however, let them not turn their mind towards an absolutely unrighteous course. If, nevertheless, abandoning the path of virtue, they desire war, then when they encounter impatiently these praiseworthy Kurus, they will remember these my words. Bhishma said, "What is the use of thy talking? Thou shouldst remember that occasion when Pritha's son single-handed overpowered impatiently 6 cow warriors. If we do not act as these Brahmana have said, to be sure, we shall be all slain by him impatiently." Then Dhritarashtra pacified Bhishma with words of entreaty. He booked the son of Hadiha, and spoke the following words: "What Bhishma, Santanu's son, have said is salutary for us, as also for the Pandavas, and likewise for the whole universe. I shall, however, after deliberation, send Sanjaya to the sons of Pandu. So thou needst not wait. Go thou to the son of Pandu this very day." The Kaurava chief then honored Drupada priest and sent him back to the Pandavas, and summoning Sanjaya to the council hall, he addressed him in the following words: